ध्यान मुक्ति पथ दिखाए, साचा रूप साचा रंग मन में दिखाए, प्रकाशित हृदय में ईश्वर।
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति। We were studying the paradox of hedonism. And the paradox of hedonism is that every being is in the pursuit of happiness. But when we try to pursue happiness, we don't seem to find it. So we've understood, everybody has noted how in our pursuits of happiness, we don't seem to get it. So what is their solution? They've come up with the solution that you go about your own, you put your attention on something else, and then happiness will come to you. And most thinkers have eventually come to this conclusion that you put your attention on something else. Now, the problem that is happening here, if you think about it, is that what is that other thing? What am I supposed to put my attention? This is clear to most thinkers. You've seen, you read all their, they've all written over there. What have you to do? Think of something else. Happiness will come to you. Okay, but what is that other thing? So what is that other thing? Vedanta tells, which is if you can think of anything higher than yourself. Okay, it could be a cause. It could be a person. It could be an art. Anything by which your attention moves away from yourself. And that is why we are trying to do the residential course. Because really, you cannot learn it by hearing it. If it was so easy, we'd have created rishis by the tons and the dozens. It is when you go, you live in that environment, you live like that with other people who are struggling to live like that, hearing this all the time, your total focus is on it, And then slowly your focus from yourself goes away. Just you grow into that. Otherwise, you may hear it a million times. Don't think about yourself. But that thinking about ourselves doesn't go out of the picture. It is a theory. We understand the theory. But how do we implement this theory? When we will live together, I mean, whenever we are able to do that, live together with other people who think like that, dedicated to something beyond yourself, actually dedicated, not in theory. You find the attention on yourself slowly decreasing, and then you don't notice it, but suddenly you're a happy person. You may not notice it, other somebody else may tell you. Or you may say, oh, I used to be agitated. No, nowadays I don't seem to get so agitated. But you have to do it, not just write it down as an exam question and answer. Now you know the theory. Now you have to implement it. Now, implementing is not easy because the mind tends to justify itself. It will pretend it is not thinking about itself when actually it is. It will claim that I am doing this or that or that or this. As even here you find so many people approach us. They say that they want to work for a cause, that they want to come and work with us, they want to work for a cause, but that's not really what happens. What happens is something quite different. So, very, very important that we can somehow get to live that life. Somehow. Find a group, live with that group. We are trying to create some space where hopefully this will happen. Now, after that, inshallah, we can only create the environment. After that, it is for the individual to do whatever they wish to do. So, this is true for physical, emotional, intellectual levels, all three levels. Because the mind can get involved in the physical, the mind gets involved in the mental, and the mind gets involved in the intellectual. So when you think you're doing intellectual pursuits, it's nothing but your mind getting involved. And when it gets involved, all the same trajectory goes on. So if you do it either at the physical or emotional or intellectual level, like you're very much into earn money, have lots of fun and enjoyment, you could be that type of person. Or you could be the type of person that says, no, 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 my family, I have to take care of my family. I feel so good with my family, or family, family, family. So emotional person. Or you could have intellectual pursuits. You could be doing science or maths or anything like that. So all three are subject to the same laws until you get the trick of getting out of your personality. That's the difficulty. Once you get that, then you follow what this gentleman said. But I now thought that this end, means once happens, was only to be attained by not making it the direct end. And what are the ways we make it the direct end? We can make it the direct end physically, that means in sense enjoyments or earning money or power or wealth or something like that. Or emotionally, in terms of my family, my friends, my pet, my dog, my cat, or whatever. All emotionally, this thing, or intellectually. All sorts of interests, all sorts of pursuits. So you make any one of these the direct end, happiness will be elusive. Those only are happy, I thought, who have their minds fixed on some object other than their own happiness. Aiming thus at something else, they find happiness along the way. Ask yourself whether you're happy and you cease to be so. Why would you cease to be happy if you ask yourself, am I happy?
Focus come back to yourself.
Yes. Very good. Focus has come back to yourself. Very good. So that's why even in the spiritual path, the one question you're supposed to ask questions, but the only question you're not allowed to ask is,
Am I growing?
am I growing? Very good. Am I growing spiritually? Because the moment you ask this question, where does your focus come? It's come back.
Yourself. Yourself.
Correct. So you ask this question. Am I doing better? Finger on the lip. No such am I doing better. Are you doing? What is the correct question?
Am I doing what I need to do?
Very good. Am I doing what I need to do? That's all I'm concerned with. Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? That's all I'm concerned with. Everything else has faded out of my vision. Ask yourself whether you're happy and you cease to be so. Even Viktor Franklin, he said the same thing. That happiness cannot be pursued. It must ensue. And it does so as the unintended side effect of one's personal dedication to a cause greater than oneself, or as the byproduct of one's surrender to a person other than oneself. Completely surrender to that person, whoever it is. It could be your parent, it could be your spouse, it could be your teacher. But you've completely surrendered. So there is so many options for us to forget ourselves. But we don't take any of them, unfortunately. So many different ways. So people have a problem. Oh my God. Suppose I surrender to somebody, suppose I surrender to a guru, and that guru turns out to be full of flaws. Then what will happen? What will happen? Nothing will happen. Are you hoping to find a guru who has no flaws? Does that happen ever? The body, mind, intellect is by definition itself imperfect. Now, does your guru have a body, mind, intellect? If your answer is yes, then that body, mind, intellect has to be imperfect. What else do you think is going to happen? The question is not whether the body, mind, intellect is imperfect or not. The question is this person going to reduce my imperfections? Even if you find a perfect guru, but he or she doesn't remove your imperfections, how does it benefit you? So the question, so everybody's imperfect. It's a question of more or less. If you're lucky enough to find somebody less imperfect than you, follow that person. Because that person will have a better understanding of everything. And if you say, no, I will find that perfect guru, then that isn't happening. Was Buddha perfect? Oh, he left his family and went. Was Krishna perfect? Oh no, look, he had 16,000 wives. You leave also a problem, you don't leave also a problem. Then who else? Then was Rama perfect? No, Rama was not perfect. He stood behind the tree and he shot Vali. Where is perfection? I can't find it anywhere. And if you find it somewhere, know that
Self-realized.
no, even a self-realized person. I mean, the body, mind, intellect cannot be perfect. No, how is that going to? If you find perfection anywhere, know that
You're wrong.
what did you say, Jayashree? Correct, Alaga. What are you saying? Yeah, Vidushi. What did you say, Jayashree? I'm muted. You are false. You are delusional. That is what it is. If you find perfection somewhere, you are delusional. It ain't happening. You're never going to find this perfect anything. Are you going to find a perfect spouse? Deep Raj, he has hopes that he will one day find this perfect spouse. Ask anybody in this world, have you found the perfect spouse? Whoever you think is perfect, ask that person's spouse. Do you think you found the perfect spouse? How much Satyabhama grumbled and complained about Krishna? How much? Oh my God, Krishna is this, Krishna is that. You can find, I mean, it's impossible to find a perfect anything. Why do you expect to find a perfect guru? Not gonna happen. Have you found a perfect friend? Is there something like a perfect parent? So many people live under all this tension that, oh my God, I'm not perfect as a parent. Why did you think you were going to be perfect as a parent? Who is this perfect parent? Have you seen a single perfect parent anywhere? There's no perfection here anywhere. Oops. Mahesh, but we call a self-realized person perfect. In what sense is that used? It is used in the sense that he has no identification with the body, mind, intellect. Therefore, he is perfect. He's got perfect detachment. He's got perfect independence. He's got perfect self-sufficiency. But that doesn't mean the body, mind, intellect has become perfect. He is perfect. You know, there's a definition of what is perfect, right? There is not, I mean, definition, there is an indication of what is perfect. That you have complete knowledge, that you have complete love, that you have complete cheer, complete independence. So will this person now do everything in this world perfectly? No. How is that even possible? I mean, what would be perfect? How do you even define what is perfect in this world? Suppose he eats chapati. Is he perfect? Suppose he writes. Is he perfect? Suppose he eats bread. Is he perfect? I mean, like, how you want to even define this thing? It's a nonsensical concept. Yeah, Taruna?
Janki, as we said, if we pursue physical, emotional, and intellectual things as a direct means of enjoyment, suppose physically we say, oh, I like to have good health and I work towards it, or I like to eat good food, or I emotionally I enjoy friends, family. Intellectually, I like to study Vedanta or any other subject. But then, if I'm using it as a direct means, that is definitely, as you said, it is we'll not get happiness. So, what should be our approach? Like, this is what am I supposed to do, or means how to approach these same things in day-to-day life? Because this is what we are doing 24/7.
Yeah, but that's why you have to go back to the drawing board and look at life as a whole. Firstly, what is my life for? What is my goal of my existence? Okay, what is my nature? How is this nature being connected to that goal? So now I have, let's say I'm a married type. Then I have to get married. Now, why do I have to get married? Because unless I get married, how will I remove this fault of wanting to be married? That nature is always what I want, right? So therefore, I am married so that eventually I can grow out of this thing. Now, how am I going to grow out of it? Only if I'm service oriented. So I serve my spouse. So, which all the areas of my swadharma, I do service. So that one day I can be with the marriage or without the marriage, but I'm okay. I mean, it is possible that, in any marriage, of course, you have a 50% chance of being alone, right? Always. Somebody has to go first and somebody has to stay. So suppose it is I who stay, then I can handle life. Okay. And while my partner is there, I can enjoy the relationship. So if I do this correctly, then while the partner is there, it will be a beautiful relationship. And if for any reason the partner isn't there, I'm still okay. So what is happening in the world is just the opposite. While the partner is there, roj jhagda. And when the partner is no longer there, roj rona rona. So there's a funny way of living life, right? So when you have the whole picture, okay, that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to get. This is my nature. This is how I'm connecting my nature to where I want to go. That whole picture is clear to me. And then from that, I worked out what my daily routine is. So in my daily routine, all my desires are being exhausted and my mind is being purified because I'm doing everything with service. And my intellect is growing sharper because I know what is purification and what is service. Sometimes you say service and वो पागल की तरह ही करते हैं लोग. Somebody beats you up and you say, no, no, now I can't leave. No, it's my husband. You mad, service is now walking out. So you have to know the discrimination has to be there, right? But everything in the scriptures, remember that famous thing? What use is a mirror to a blind man? So what use are the scriptures when we don't have our own discrimination?
Right.
So all of this is happening as a byproduct because your attention is elsewhere. And it doesn't mean you're distracted. Now each thing can be misunderstood. Now,
True.
so your attention, your focus, what your overall picture, you're able to understand what that is.
Right. So that is something that helps me to shift my focus by shift my focus from directly extracting happiness by the through these
Instead of
things.
approaching my partner for happiness, I approach my partner with service, and then happiness is a byproduct.
Right.
So similarly with friends, or similarly with my job, or similarly with everything else.
Right. So you have to eat good food, you have to take care of the health in order to stay healthy for a higher purpose.
Otherwise,
Right.
some people have to be healthy, their whole life is have to be healthy. But what are you keeping this body preserved for?
Right.
Yes, you're preserving it. Are you a mummy or something to preserve the body and keep? The point is, what are you doing with that body? And for the purpose of doing that, you're taking care of its health.
Right. So that bigger picture has to be clear. Yes.
And when that is paramount for me, all this stuff falls into place.
Right. Thank you so
Dankiji, related to Taruna's question,
Mhm.
she said that by this false method, the happiness won't be there. Is it that happiness won't be there, or will it be short-lived?
Same thing, no? I mean, won't be there means won't be there in some time. It's the same thing. Short-lived happiness is a sort of pointless happiness because it is there for a short while. Translates as what? If your happiness is there for a short while, that means what?
Most times
create all the more
it's not there. Most times it is not there.
Very good, excellent. If for a short time it is there, means for a long time it is not there. So it's the same thing. So if you say, no, no, at that moment itself I was happy, then you're right. But when we are talking about it on the whole, we don't give it any credence because let's say you have 100-year life of which you spent 1 year happy because of short-term pleasure and 99 you spent unhappy, then you say unhappy, no? In that sense, it's used.
Okay, thanks.
Sarthak. But people don't get married to serve someone else, but to serve their desire. Yes, and now you see the consequence. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? You see what people are doing and see the result of what happened. That's how the cookie crumbles. Look around you. Vedanta is not in a classroom. Vedanta is in life itself. Just look around you. Do you want the lives of the people you're seeing? Do you want that life? Then please go down that path. And if you don't want that life, please go down the path of the life which you want. Go in the wrong direction and then you say, I want. How will you get? If you want to go to Kashmir, you have to go northwards. If you want to go to Kanyakumari, you have to go southwards. What is the use of going southwards and saying, I want to go to Kashmir? Where do you think you are, Europe? What is the meaning of this? So, as long as you're getting the picture, you get it right. If you're not getting the picture, राम भरोसे जी लो जैसे जी रहे हो. What can anyone do? Tisha, you're looking like some kind of art object from where I am.
I have the sun in my window.
Okay. But I can't see you at all. I just see like some art. What?
I know.
Isn't that interesting? To be able to see Tisha, the sun has to go away.
Can you see me now?
Yes, now I can see you. At least better than I was. You see, this is a great lesson in Vedanta. If I were to ask you this question, to see anything, you require
Light.
Light.
light. But to see Tisha now, we have to get the sun out.
Mhm.
This is such a perfect example, right, of Vedanta? There is no rule. Because for a certain circumstance, what do you need to do? Now, to see Tisha, she has to darken the place. For the rest of us to see us, we have to lighten the place. This is exactly what Vedanta is trying to tell. And that's why it doesn't give you rules. It says, what is the situation? You react to that, please. Don't say, oh, this is so good, that is so bad. Or you go on saying it and then you live in that little matchbox of yours. Don't you think it's a great example of how it has to be relevant to the situation? You can't simply say, oh, because of light you see. No, sometimes because of darkness you see. I mean, comparative darkness, of course. Okay, so coming back, that was just an obiter dicta. You know what an obiter dicta is? When there's a judgment in court, and then the judge says something nothing to do at all with the judgment, just he says something. These are, some useful, important things that sometimes they say. So this is like that. This was too good an opportunity to use to explain the point of how things are relative in this way. So you're okay, Sarthak, I hope. Now, right, Mahesh, let's go ahead.
So, Shakshi, the last sentence is missing. I put
Okay, I'll read it from here. Whenever you see anything wrong with anything, please send it to Taruna, because Taruna is the head of publications. So though, I mean, not that she's responsible for this happening, but now whoever did it, she's responsible for getting it corrected. So please, if you know IT, then you can help her also. Maybe Deepraj can help you, Taruna, to get this in position. So, though ultimate pleasure is the ultimate good, it is the eradication of desires that gives pleasure, both relative and ultimate. Just a concluding statement. So, we know that ultimate good is ultimate happiness. Ultimate happiness is ultimate good. But somehow it doesn't work in real life, right? People do things to make them happy, but then good seems to be the complete opposite. But when you look at it in the right perspective, you find ultimate good is ultimate happiness. Because impossible to do ultimate good and not be ultimately happy. And ultimate happiness is ultimate goodness. Because if you have to get permanent good and happiness, you cannot escape being good. So these two go together. So that is how we have sorted out the paradox of hedonism. All right. Now we'll go to the next subtopic. Games, desires, play. So why are we coming here? Because we said that finally it is eradication of desires. Okay, that's where we ended. And yet we pay no heed to the eradication of desire. It doesn't sound appealing. Isn't that so? Suppose I tell you, get rid of your desire. It just doesn't sound appealing. It says, how will I ever be happy without a desire? When I desire something and I enjoy that object, I will enjoy the object. If I don't desire anything, it's so dull, so boring. So it doesn't sound appealing to us. It sounds like, oh, what are you trying to make me some kind of zombie or something? No desires, no nothing. I'm going to go through life like, I don't know what, some sarthak. It sounds desirable, but more like impossible. Oh, TBH, to be honest, Papre, these kids and their acronyms. I suppose it's to be honest. I suppose it sounds desirable to be honest, but more like impossible. We don't know whether it's possible or not, but at least let us establish that this is the only way. And though we don't know whether desirelessness is possible or not, we do know one very important thing, which is
when desires
Less
reduce, we
desires, yes, the agitations go down. Yeah.
no, we do know that less desires is possible. This much we know for sure, because we can see people with less desires. So now, can it go to zero or not? You will never know that from here. But this you can know, that less is possible because I know people with less desires. So therefore, this is possible. It's like saying, can you be a billionaire? Yes, because there are billionaires. Can you be a trillionaire? I don't know, because I don't know if there are any trillionaires. Are there any trillionaires? God knows these people's money goes up so much that you don't know how much they have now. Does anyone have a trillion in this world? I mean, other than the debt that US has, nobody else talks in trillions, right? So I don't know. Is it possible to be a trillionaire? I don't know, because nobody seems to have done it. But is it possible to be a billionaire? Yes, because we know people who've done it. So along those lines. Yeah, Gunjan?
Janki, like we are now like talking about that we can decrease the desires that we have. So maybe that means that the desires then we will have would be more higher, right? So let's say intellectual pursuit is one of the higher desires. But then right now we just read that no desire, right? We just read that eradication of desire. So how is that like both the statements go with each other?
The definition of intellectual desires is different.
Okay.
You have taken intellectual desires to mean like mathematics or science or PhD in politics. What is science or politics? You're doing a PhD in science or politics.
science policy.
Science policy. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now going into policy itself is intellectual. Then you're doing a PhD in science policy. Science is intellectual. Then a policy for science is intellectual, and then a PhD in the policy for science is even more intellectual, right? Now, this is not intellectual by Vedanta. Okay, it's intellectual in the way the world understands the term intellectual. Intellectual in Vedanta has a particular definition. Intellectual in Vedanta means that two definitions there are depending on context. One definition is a person who is in governance of his mind is an intellectual. That means every action of his comes from the intellect. That's intellectual. Another definition is that a person who can work for something that he conceives as opposed to what he experiences through his senses or through his mind. Like, for instance, if I want to eat a gulab jamun, this I experience through my sense, right? Then instead of eating the gulab jamun, I want to give it to my child. Now this will become emotional. I'm experiencing it through my mind. But if I want to give gulab jamuns to some people in Ethiopia, okay, I have no physical contact, no emotional this thing, but conceptually I feel that people in Ethiopia should have this. That means now I'm working with a concept. So that's the second definition. That means, in simple words, it means higher ideals. So an intellectual is a person with higher ideals. Because higher ideal means if I'm working something for my country, I've not met every person in my country. Right? So that's a higher ideal. It has to be on conception. It cannot be on feeling or on sensual contact.
So when this line is saying that yet we pay no heed to the eradication of desire, so are we talking about this kind of desire also, like the one you just discussed?
In the
Okay.
end, yes. When you have to bring it to zero, yes. So you will say,
Okay.
I'm working for myself, then I'm working for my family, then I'm working for my community, then I'm working for the country, then I'm working for humanity. Then I'm working for all living creatures. Just as an example, right? So now for me to be able to do all living creatures and all, it's very highly conceptual, right? But eventually, imagine if I come to a position where I realize there's nobody but me. Only the self, right? That means no desire of any type. It's basically like you, in the dream, you want to serve your people. And then you wake up. Then do you want to go back and serve those people now? You realize the whole thing is just me. But all that is much, much later we come to this. We have to go step by step, because you can't say, oh, but how do you know that's possible? No, you don't know it's possible or not. But we do know that it can grow, it can grow, it can grow. How much can I make it? How much can I include in my identification? Where do I draw a boundary that now this can be outside and I don't have to do anything for that? So keep growing. And if you reach the top, that means nothing.
Okay, thank you.
Janki ji, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, having a desire for Vedanta or art or science is intellect, though it's an intellectual desire, but in the worldly sense.
Correct.
And if I'm not able to increase my identification, I'm not at all intellectual in that sense.
That's correct. in one definition, or if I don't have control over my mind, I'm not an intellectual. I
So
mean,
the narrower your identification, maybe you are at the physical or max at the emotional level.
so now you may say, why are you defining it like that? It's because what is intellect? Intellect is discrimination. So how far can your discrimination go? You can do that in time, space, or causation. Like, how much can you discriminate that if I did X, then Y will happen. If Y happens, then Z happens, and then that and that. And then causation you can do it. Or you can do it in time, that if today this happens, then by next year this will happen. 2 years later, this will happen. 100 years later, this will happen. Right? Or you can do it in space, in actual events. So in whichever way you do it, your discrimination can tell you more and more. Now, when will you tell you more if your ideal is higher? That means, I mean, they go together. When not in the sense of causality, but they go together. So discrimination is so much. For instance, suppose you want to educate everybody in India. One thing you can do is you can start a school, right? And so you educate some people. And then, like this, if you start schools, God knows when this whole country will be educated, right? So what do you think? You think to yourself, okay, I'm not going to start a school for children. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start a school for teachers. So when I start a school for teacher, I could have taught one school. But if I started a school for teacher, my reach is much more. I'm able to see that.
Right.
Or I can give donations, right? I'm a charitable person, I give donations. So I can give somebody for their food, somebody for their education, somebody for their home. It's a different thing. But suppose I can give a donation by which other charitable people are created.
The reach is more.
Reach is fabulously more. But people don't get it. So suppose you go to somebody and you tell them that, there's a poor starving child, give me some money for the child. The person will give you. You go to that person and you say, give me money to start Vedanta University. He say, nahi, usme usse kya hone wala hai? You're not able to see it. उसमें नहीं, उसमें मजा नहीं है. Something like that. No, नहीं, it leaves them cold because discrimination is not there. If Vedanta University starts, then what else will happen?
So the higher your vision, you're able to discriminate more. You can
These two
see
go
more.
together. Yeah, you cannot have a higher vision unless you discriminate better.
Okay.
And if you discriminate better, obviously you will have a higher vision.
But we can discriminate only in the time, space, and causation only.
So you can't see, na? Suppose suppose, let us say for argument's sake that we start Vedanta University and we do create people of character. What kind of benefit you will give to society? I mean, to them, of course, they will, of course, benefit. But they will not alone benefit, no? On the other hand, if I sponsor somebody's BCom education, then that person will benefit. So you're able to see what is going to happen. That is that great example of Les Miserables, remember? That bishop, he gave the candlesticks.
Yes, to the thief.
To the thief, to the criminal, to the convict. And he gave up his candlesticks. But he converted one person into a karma yogi. So that karma yogi then benefited so many people. So obviously he has the discrimination to know that if this time I forgive him, this is the kind of benefit that, this is the kind of good that will come out of it. So if I forgive, and that one act changed everything. So for that you need that viveka buddhi, that discrimination, that capacity to tell, is this the time to forgive or not the time to forgive?
That encompasses the identification thing also.
Everything. Because all merges, no, as you go up.
Right. Okay.
Yes, Artak?
Ma'am, it is written if the intensity of desire is more, then the proportion with which we get the object gets less. It's written in the next paragraph. So I have a question about that.
Okay, so let's read it, then we'll discuss it.
Okay.
Okay, come, Mahesh. And yet we pay no heed to the eradication of desire. It doesn't sound appealing. However, there is yet another aspect of desires, another nail in its coffin. So, eradication of desires doesn't sound good to anybody because it goes against the grain. Why does eradication of desires not sound appealing?
Because we believe that through desires we get, by fulfilling desires we get enjoyment.
Yes.
So if no desire, no enjoyment.
Right. So it goes against the grain because the pursuit is always of happiness. So you feel, oh, take my desires away, you're taking my happiness. Because nobody will do anything that takes your happiness away. Nobody will do. The only difference between people is what do they think is going to get them happiness. That's the only difference. But nobody will do anything that takes their happiness away. So why doesn't the drug addict stop taking drugs, or the alcoholic? Why doesn't he stop drinking? Because he believes he gets happiness out of it. Why does a person who's hot-tempered keep throwing a fit? He thinks there's happiness there. Why does a glutton eat? Because he thinks there's happiness. And the moment you tell somebody, don't do whatever it is you think happiness is, he'll never listen to you. It goes against his grain. He simply won't do it. Nesh? So therefore, the author is giving us another reason. Instead of saying eradication of desires, which is like very uninspiring to many people, therefore he's giving another reason. By the way, my PhD thesis was on this topic. Just I don't know for what purpose, but just if you'd like to know, this was the topic of my thesis. Desires undermine our achievements, create ill health, subvert relationships, and cause moral and spiritual degradation. It's not just that eradication of desires is a spiritual goal to be achieved. It is that if you have desires, you mess up your material life, which is something that we must pay our attention to. They prevent our achievements, they cause us stress, they create ill health, they spoil our relationships, and cause moral and spiritual degradation. We are taken for a merry spin and we don't know it. Our vision is blurred. We don't get it. Desires are playing us, and we innocently, ignorantly fall into the trap. You know, when you see in some movie, okay, there's some girl, and this girl is making this boy do something, making him maybe do a murder or something. She's making him do, and he can't see through her. And the rest of us can all see through it, right? You're saying, oh my God, she's lying to him, or she's being very sweet to him because she wants him to do something. And actually, she's a criminal and she was going to take his money away or something. She's playing him, or he's playing her, either way. And you, as the audience, you sit back and you see, oh my God, he's not seeing it, isn't it? That's exactly how an objective person feels when they look at our lives. Because, oh my God, this person is not seeing. They are being played, they are being manipulated by this, but they are not seeing it. Desires are playing us, and we innocently, ignorantly fall into the trap. The Upanishads refer to this tendency of the mind to cause agitations within and failure outside as Atmahanaha. Atmahanaha means suicide. It truly brings itself to grief. The mind commits suicide. The mind is what runs foolishly after something, and it is the mind that suffers for it. Therefore, it is suicide. That's why the Upa is very interesting usage of language. Atmahanaha, suicide. See how desires play us. Now we're going to start this section of what is the desire doing to you? So much you're clinging on to it, and so much you're saying, oh, I will have my desires. And see what's happening. 1. Desires undermine success. A startling fact about desire is that it deters the acquisition of the desired object. Paradoxically, the stronger the desire, the less the likelihood of attaining the object. This nefarious quality of desires is often overlooked. That desire is its own barrier. How many times you will see this in your life? Just a couple of days ago, somebody was speaking to me about it. You have desires. And there's nothing wrong when you're young. How can you not have desire? So up to that, it's fine. Now you have the desire and you chase it relentlessly, directly. The result is you're simply not getting those things. I mean, almost like clockwork nowadays. I mean, the regularity with which I'm hearing this is incredible. There is so many people who come to me and talk about some kind of mental ailment. Just, it's become all pervasive nowadays, everywhere. And nobody's saying, what is happening here? How come suddenly such a spurt of mental ailments? Why? There is obviously the disease, okay? I'm not referring to that. But the disease in the sense, a chemical imbalance in the mind. So I'm not referring to that in the brain, but I'm not referring to that. I'm talking about how people are getting totally dejected because they have this fabulous notion कि ऐसा होना चाहिए, वैसा होना चाहिए. I should have got this, I should have got that, I should have a flat, I should have a wife, I've had this much bank balance. And none of this is happening. And they're going under because of the weight of all this stuff. Instead of saying, okay, I'm a poor person. I want a flat in Mumbai. A flat in Mumbai, at the very least, would probably cost 1 crore. I mean, if you go to the outskirts. Therefore, I need to have 1 crore. What do I need to do so that I can get 1 crore? And how long will it take me? So I can say, okay, I am 25 now, maybe I can have 1 crore when I'm 35. So my house will come to me when I'm 35. Okay, so I have a timeline that's going to happen then. No, now I'm 25, I'm poor, I need the house, and I need it today. How is that going to happen? And because it's not happening today, I go into depression, or what I call depression, anxiety, stress, and all this kind of thing. He has a house, why don't I have a house? I have to have a house, and I have to have it today. It doesn't work like that. You have to start, each one of us has to start from where we are, put one step after another step, and reach where we have to get. There is no other way to do this. but you don't understand it in such a rational sense. So you say, how come I haven't got it yet? Ouch. So the first problem with desire is that it impedes your getting anything. So now you've gone into anxiety, you've gone into depression, you cannot work. How are you going to get that house that you wanted? This nefarious quality of desires is often overlooked. That desire is its own barrier. To achieve anything, one requires clarity of thought. So the first condition to achieve, you need some clarity of thought. Clarity enables us to choose the right action and execute it. Desire is the enemy of clarity. It is the first thing that is sacrificed at the altar of desire. As you allow that desire to build up, what is happening is the clarity is coming down. I mean, like, suppose you stop that person and you say that, can anybody get a crow overnight? No. How much time at your current salary or your current profit do you expect to have a crow? They will answer all these questions. They know it. It's not like nobody knows it. And yet there is that anxiety and that depression and that stress and that worry. And like, anyway, it's not going to come for 10 years unless I have some scheme by which I can do it in 10 years. It's not like you don't know. It's that you know, but you simply don't know. If I get married to somebody today, what will be the emotions of that person towards me? Can I expect undying love today? Obviously, it will take time for some depth to build in that relationship. Obviously, nobody can build depth before. No, we love each other and it's such a deep relationship. Oh, really? Get married and you will find your depth. And you have to meet once or twice a week or even once a day. Hunky dory. Get married, then you'll see. Then the differences will come. Then you see. It takes time for this whole thing to happen. And that's one of the reasons on the campus also. You know what I really want to do is have everybody involved in the nature aspect of it. Like in growing plants. I'll tell you another idea. We should have horses there. People, when you're with nature, it's a great idea. Instead of having golf carts to move around, because at 23 acres, how will you move around? Everybody will want a golf cart. But so instead of having a golf cart, we can have nature, have a whole horse to go around. Now, when you are in nature, you begin to understand that there are cycles. If you plant a mango tree today, you are not going to get a mango for the next 5 years. For 5 years, you simply have to water and fertilize and dig up the soil and whatever, right? What? I mean, when you live with nature, you really begin to understand, okay, I want mangoes, I'm planting a tree, this is going to happen after 5 years. For those 5 years, I just do whatever I need to do to look after that tree. And that is true of everything in life. If a new maid comes into your house, from day one, she'll be dedicated to you. How is that possible? It'll take years by the time she develops loyalty. Sarthak. If a desire is not strong enough, a medical student will not be able to study through the 5-year long course and quit. The desire is too strong, he will not be able to. But if a desire is too strong, it impedes clarity. So maybe a medium intensity is required. No, Sarthak, we don't need medium intensity. It doesn't matter. What is important is not what is the strength of the desire. What is important is the strength of the intellect. If you have a strong desire, that's great. That's wonderful if you have a strong desire. But if it is not under the governance of your intellect, it is like having a sailboat needs a strong wind and then it can go fast. But if that sailboat doesn't know how to control this wind, that same wind will dash it on the rocks and kill it. So it's not that we want to have a medium intensity desire. What we want is, regardless of the strength of the desire, it should be under intellectual governance. So when that thought is not under intellectual governance, we call it desire, craving, longing, wanting. These are the words you use for it. Obsession. When it is under the control of the intellect, you call it aim, ambition, aspiration, goal. These words are generally used. It's the same thought, whether controlled or uncontrolled. Deep Raj.
Ma'am, so अगर वो controlled होगा, then it's all hunky dory. Then I don't have to worry about it so much. It's because it's a goal then. It's an ambition then. But if it's making my mind uncontrollable, then I have to worry about it.
Yes, you not have to worry, you will worry. The consequence will be worry, yes.
Okay.
Deep Raj. It's like how the in-laws expect the bride to immediately assimilate into the customs of her new home. Correct. On day one only, they will expect her to live like them. How? Give her a break. Alagappan. We have to dovetail desires to a greater cause. Yes, correct. Okay, so that's it for today. We'll continue next time. Hari Om.
Yeah, ma'am.
Guru, thank you.
Hari Om Shanti Ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Shanti Ji.